Hey there guys, how's it going today? We're going to talk a little bit about making a Yamaha R3 into a legitimate race bike or track bike. I know there's a lot of videos on YouTube right now describing that, but from what I've seen, most of those are on an almost unlimited budget from TSR or Sport Bike Track Time or somebody like that that literally has sponsored products they're putting on their bike. So I'm gonna go over what I did with mine, which won me 2 championships last year, and I got a bunch of wins on it. What it takes to get it out there, what's good, what you can go cheap on, what you need to prioritize, and let's just talk a little bit about Yamaha R3s on the racetrack.
Motorcycle's gonna do day to day. This is a bumpy road. You can hear it in my voice.
All right, so we got the Yoshimura Alpha T pipe, and this thing was a huge improvement over what I had run the year before with some cheap Chinese knockoff. Carbon fiber tip on this thing obviously made a lot more power than stock and a lot more than the cheapo Chinese knockoff that I ran in 2019. Other critical element here is the Olin shock. You see that yellow sucker hanging about back there. That is absolutely necessary for racing an R3. You've got to change that shock. Olin's, Penske, whatever you put on there. Just make sure you get a good quality shock. That's really going to make all the difference. I couldn't get the rear end to settle with the stock shock on there or with a Ninja 650 upgraded thing. It still didn't work out right. So the ride height adjustment right there on the Olins is critical. Get that rear end up a little bit, and the remote reservoir is super good. Hot Body's Bodywork, obviously you got a little washout here on my video, but this bodywork up front is all Hot Bodies. It went on really easily. Mounting was super cool, super simple, and it just works really well. It's flexible, it holds up pretty good. It took a paint job pretty easily. I did it right here by my house in LA, limited space. But I went with the CRC from England, tail and seat, because it raised that seat up a good bit, 2.5 inches, something like that, and I didn't like the Hot Body setup that they had. I went with the Vortex rear sets for the same reason, to get myself up, put my position where I wanted it. And clip-ons, I actually went with some cheap eBay knockoffs there, and they've worked really good. Billet, they have done the job. Hadn't had any problems. I don't think there's anything wrong with saving a little money with the eBay cheapos in that respect. Next thing, we got chain and sprockets, Vortex sprockets, front and rear, and a DID non-O-ring chain on there, and then I got some sprocket bolts from somebody online. Frame sliders are from Shogun, and then the RNG case savers, case guards there are mandatory, and they just bolt on and work really good. Can't go wrong with that. Frame sliders all around, you got to have them for racing. Breaking setup, I got the EBC wave rotor going on down here, which is awesome. Added a little bit of extra leverage. I got Goodrich braided lines front and rear. I got EBC race pads, and then the braking radial master cylinder. That was a big upgrade. Motion Pro quick turn throttle as well, and then your brake guard over there. Front forks, I have not altered with aftermarket products. I changed my preload spacers. I cut some different ones for me, put some different oil in there. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I did, mess around with the dampers a little bit, but damping rods. Rear brake, deleted the reservoir in case of a crash. That makes it a little bit safer. I got the tank stickies on there to get some grip. I got a steering damper up front, and you probably see there I got the aluminum replaceable gas cap. No key entry there, because we don't need to worry too much about that. I took my ignition off, and I got my little name on my windscreen there. Super cool. Internal stuff, all kinds of things, clutch, block off plates, ECM flash. But then the Bridgestone slicks are really what puts the rubber to the road, literally. And if you don't have a good set of slicks on there, you're not going to be up with everybody else. I like Bridgestone, my favorite. I've run them for years and years. You do what you want to do, but I always run those VO2 Bridgestone slicks. I've had a lot of success with them. So there you go. R3 race setup. That's what I've done to mine. Anything less than what I've got on there or anything more, I don't know is necessary. Anything less, it's hard to get out there and make it happen. I used to tell people, oh, I've only got $3,000 or $4,000 in this bike, but then I started adding it up, and I realized, oh crap, I've actually got about $12,000 or $13,000. I paid $1,200 for this motorcycle as a salvage. A friend of mine had crashed it, and I pretty much rebuilt the whole thing. I had to rebuild both forks, get some new parts, replace more or less everything that you see on there, except for the tank cover and some of the internals. But it's been a great bike. It won 2 championships last year, the Weir West 300 and 400 cc championships for me. It's been a really solid runner, man. You can't go wrong with a Yamaha R3 as a track bike. I've learned so much on this bike, and it's a lot of fun. Adios, amigos.
Thank you.